She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
It always matters about money, right? It's always a conversation. How many times a day does the word money actually come out of your mouth? Whether it is, I don't have any, or gosh, if only I could, I get paid in 2 weeks. How often do you think about it? Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show, where every single day we challenge the status quo of success. I don't know if you realize, but you have been programmed and you have been sold a certain way of thinking concerning money, concerning success, concerning family, politics, even your personal relationship with God, if you have one. Anyway, but we have all been conditioned through society, and society has told us what success is supposed to look like. But I say, forget that nonsense. Who are they? Who are they, by the way? Who are they anyway? And what motives do they really have? Is success really about a big house and fancy big cars, new cars every year? Is success really about expensive clothing and big diamonds and lots of recognition and fame? Is that what really success is? Or perhaps this is something different. Is it possible that success has its own personal definition for each individual on the planet? Is that possible? Well, I began to challenge that 2 decades ago, and boy, did I find some truth. That's why here on the Dani Johnson Show, we bring you truth that exposes some lies that are inside of us, and we might be chasing after things that we don't even want. Have you ever done that? Have you ever chased after a dream or a goal that somebody else planted inside of you, and once you achieved it, it meant nothing? It meant absolutely nothing. The burden was too heavy. The price was too high, and you wished you had never gone there. Well, today on the Dani Johnson Show, we're going to dive into the concepts of money, looking at the truth about money. You see, money seems to be an elusive thing for so many of us. I grew up on welfare in a violently abusive, drug-infested home. You know, I was physically abused, emotionally abused, sexually abused, mentally and verbally abused as well. And I really, really thought that the childhood I had would be the life that I would have for the rest of my life. This is why I was suicidal starting at 6 years old, only to end up homeless at the age of 21, pregnant at 17 out of wedlock. That went over so well. Homeless at 21, yet a millionaire by 23. Today, I'm a multi-millionaire who gives 100% of the profits from our business straight to the poor. I live a simple life. Why? I found that money just had all kinds of entanglements, honestly. Yes, I think it's important to live, but I lived that lavish life for a long time, and it really ended up with just too much stress. The price was too high, and the burden was too heavy. And so we here every day are here to bring you concepts, tips, strategies, even challenging mindsets. Because I know that you want more out of life than what you're living. And I know that you don't want a whole bunch of stress. And I know you need solutions, just like I need solutions for our finances. We need solutions for our families, for marriage, for all of it, which is why we gather together to maybe pick each other's brains on how we can improve the overall world, with starting first with our own world. So we're going to talk about money today. And I have a question for you. And I don't want you to get defensive, and I don't want you to all of a sudden try to put your fake face mask on of yes, I'm perfect with everything financially. It's a bunch of nonsense. We live in a country right now, just the United States of America alone is about $16 trillion in just personal consumer debt. Disgusting. Disgusting. We have become slaves to the almighty plastic. Slaves to the plastic. We have gotten ourselves into this mess without even realizing how we got there. And I know for me, I really, really wished that I had somebody with a very loud voice grabbing me by the shoulder, shaking me, because unfortunately I was not one to listen easily. I was very unteachable when it came to money. Oh, I was teachable if you were teaching me how to make money. I'll listen to you. But when it came to paying off debt, when it came to actually how to create wealth, that's where I swallowed the biggest stupid pill that ever was on the market, where forget that, man. No, I'll just make many millions more, and then I'll become financially independent. Well, guess what I found out? After making millions, we spent millions, and we had almost $1 million in debt. Almost $1 million in debt, and we'd made millions of dollars. I felt like such an idiot and a failure. So what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about my financial mistakes, and you're going to talk about yours. Why? Because we can learn from them. Don't get defensive about your money. Don't try to justify why you have the debt or, why you don't have enough money in the bank right now. Don't do that. We got to remain open-minded, and we got to learn from each other. And as we have callers calling in today, they're humbling themselves and say, this is the biggest financial mistake I've ever made. When we get to hear from them, we might be on that same exact path that they once were on, and they can help us get off of the wrong path and quickly get on to the right one. So I'm excited for us to hear from our faithful listeners to the Dani Johnson Show today, because I know I'm going to learn something, and I know you're going to learn something too. And together, we're going to help our world get better financially instead of being stupid. All right, joining me right now is Melissa. It's Lachman from Toronto, Canada. All right, girl,
Hi.
You're ready. You're going to tell us what is the biggest financial mistake you've ever made, or is there many financial mistakes that you can help us not make?
Well, my biggest mistake was growing up. I started working early. I started making money early, and I had no footprint. I had no one to teach me what credit was. I had to learn that on my own, and I learned it from making a big mistake. I got my first credit card, and I thought, wow, this is free money. I could just buy, expensive shoes and whatever.
Isn't that crazy?
And
Melissa, think about this.
No one taught me was
exactly.
$100 shoes. If you don't pay for them right away, they're going to be $300
I know.
that you're paying for.
I don't get that, right? Melissa, hold on one second, because I want to ask you something. Because I want to make sure no one misunderstands you. So you said the biggest mistake I made was I started working young and making money young. That's not the mistake. It's good for young people to make money and to work. That's important to do while we're young. But what the biggest mistake is that you got a credit card. And I love what you said, because I saw it the same way when I think it was 19. Yeah, it was 19 when I got my first credit card. I remember going, oh my gosh, it's free money.
Right. And if you don't have anyone to teach you about credit, you fall into the trap very quickly. Yeah. And, I had a car loan. I bought a fancy new car, a line of credit, and quickly it just accumulated. And then I had to learn to myself, okay, this is what credit is. And if you don't stay on top of it, it can be
crazy,
astronomical in the amounts of money you end up paying, 5 or 6 years down the road.
Yep.
And so today, my husband and I, we have no debt, except for our mortgage. That's the only thing that we have.
Okay, hold on, Melissa. Hold on. I'm going to stop you right there, because this is a very common mindset. We have no debt except our mortgage. Mortgages, and I'm saying this not just to you, I'm saying this to everybody that's listening. Mortgage is a debt.
Yeah, it is.
It is a debt. And we live in a society that has somehow just went, oh, but that's not really debt. It's so funny whenever I ask people about their debt, because I do financial coaching for people. And so they're really funny. It's like, oh no, I have very, very little debt. I have some callers will call me and say, I have very, very little debt. It's not that much. Well, how much is not that much? Only like $200,000. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, no,
there is a problem when you think $200,000 is not a lot of debt. So then I say, okay, now, does that include your cars? Oh, no. Your lease on your car is a debt. Add that to the $200,000. And do you have a mortgage? Well, of course I do. I have 2. And how much are those?
Yeah.
People have somehow segmented in their minds, they have segmented that the car is not a debt. That the house, the mortgage is not a debt. It is a debt. And we have got to come out of what the market has programmed us to believe. They programmed us to believe that it's okay to go into debt. They programmed us that it's normal, that everyone does it, that it's okay, and you're going to pay it off, and everything's going to be fine. It's all a bunch of lies. 2% of the population are the only part of the population that is going to be financially independent after the age of 65. 98% of the population will end up dead or dead broke by the age of 65, dependent on their family, friends, and federal government for their main source of income. Think about that, my friend. Think about this. Dependent on your family, friends, and federal government for your main source of income. How is that possible? You have so many people going to college, even in furthering through major universities. Some of them getting good jobs, most of them not. Some of them getting good jobs. How is it that we could end up broke at 65? Melissa, I got to share this with you. I have some friends that are former millionaires. They made a lot of money, former millionaires. And now that they are really at a place of retirement, they can't afford to retire. They can't. And their income is very unstable. And they've stayed in debt their entire lives. So it's not dead or dead broke at 65. We're talking pushing 80s. Pushing 80s. None of us want to be suffering financially. Same with my precious husband's grandparents. That they also were in their 80s and they had been in debt for 60 years. And when I asked, when did it start? He said, when I started college is when the debt started. Somehow, even back then, he was able to get some kind of student loans of some sort. And so then it was started with, another thing and a line of credit here. And then, we had the medical bills. And then for 60 solid years, they were in debt until the day that my husband and I, that God put it on our hearts to pay off all their debt. Could you imagine being in debt for 60 years? And how does it start? It starts like with Melissa and I. We got a credit card when we were 18, 19 years old and went, free money! Let's go to Nordstrom. Let's go to JCPenney. I'm going to get some new shoes. Oh, did you see the sale? It's almost as though an angel came out of heaven and dropped this card upon us. And then, of course, gave us the newspaper that has all the sales, right? The sales promotions that are coming, at the mall, and get 50% off on these shoes and get 10% off on this. And oh, Lord have mercy. Every day it seems like the sun, moon, and stars line up when you get that credit card in your hand. And then, of course, you're driving down the road, and then what do we see? We see, oh, yes, the car dealership. There's that car. Financing for X amount. Oh, everybody will qualify. Oh, ay. And you want to kick to the curb the junker that you're in. That's how it all starts, man. And then what? You have a car accident that you weren't expecting, right? Oh, whoops, you're pregnant. Whoops, I don't have insurance. Whoops. You know what I'm saying? It's like one thing after another. It's like a huge, it's almost like this. Forget it. I'll tell you about it later. Yeah, I gotta tell you this later. Anyway, this is Dani Johnson. We're gonna keep talking about you becoming financially free right after this.
Don't go away. The next segment might just change your life. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org. The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
There I was, driving down the road. And I saw, as I was being delivered of greed that I didn't even know that I had, I saw fruit, kind of a red fruit, almost like a pomegranate type of a thing, over the places that tempt me constantly. Walmart being one of them, that I was tempted by Walmart. Isn't that ridiculous? Yeah, little gadgets or another little pair of shoes or another little top or whatever. You know what I mean? Or, I got to try this cleaning product. You know what I mean? Oh, look at that chocolate, right? So I saw fruit over Walmart, and I saw fruit over the grocery store. I was driving. It's the middle of the day, and I saw fruit even at the hardware store. Oh, I just had this thing with constantly remodeling houses. And I saw fruit over, yes, Dairy Queen. Oh, that Blizzard. And I saw fruit over even McDonald's, that cheeseburger. I did. I saw fruit all over the place in my eyes. It's like scales fell off my eyes, and I saw that I was being tempted just as Eve was tempted in the Garden of Eden. That behind that luscious fruit that just looked so amazing that I had to have, had a curse on the other end of it. You see, success is not about debt. And if you have to go into debt to look successful, there's a problem, friend. If you're buying houses that you really cannot afford just to look good before people, or you're buying on credit clothes so that you can look good and look more successful than you are, then my friend, this is a facade. This is not real, true success. So we're talking about today the truth about money. And the truth about how every merchant that's out there is just trying to steal yours. As we were just hearing from Melissa up in Toronto, Canada, right? She's young. She gets that first credit card, bam, goes crazy. And then, whoa, gets a car. And then, wow, realizes this is not good. We're talking about the biggest mistakes that we've all made financially to be able to help all of us stay on a good financial track. And secondly, to help some of us, if we're on the wrong track, to get off. Turn around, you turn it, baby, and get on the right track so that you do not end up broke, suffering financially for the rest of your life. All right, so we've got Sharona from Hudson, Kansas. Sharona, tell us, what has been your biggest financial mistake?
Hi, I think I'm very much like the last caller that you had, and my husband and I got married about 2.5 years ago. And right off the bat, we decided that we needed a bunch of things. We needed a brand new Ford pickup 3 months into our marriage. We needed, a brand new appliances for our new house. We needed all of these things.
Keyword, needed.
And I think if I could say, one thing to especially young married couples and young people, that you don't need the same standard of living as people that have been married for a long time or a lot older, and actually probably a lot of those people are pretty broke themselves.
Yep. Yeah, but you know what you're saying that is so profound, Sharona? Listen to this. This is powerful. My husband just said this recently because we have a bunch of kids that just left the house. You know what I mean? Our kids are older and they're moving out. They're getting married and all this. And he sat there and he went, you know what? He goes, it has to be really hard for our kids and kids like our kids who grew up in a comfortable living. See, my husband and I did not grow up with money. We grew up in poverty. And so for kids to go from this nice, comfortable home, and of course, mom's a gourmet cook, and I cook this luxurious meal every night for dinner. Sometimes there's leftovers, but they're still luxurious, like tonight. Anyway, so it's got to be difficult to go from those towels and that silverware and having a dishwasher and do you know what I mean? Having everything right there with you and then moving out on your own and going, I just got out of the shower. Where's a towel? Because you don't have any, you know what I mean? Or like, oh my gosh, I got $20 I can spend on food this week. How do I make that work? I think that's really difficult, and I think you're right, that when we're young, we need to be wise, and we need not to expect ourselves to have our apartment be beautifully decorated like the couple that's 20 years older than we are. It's not wise for us to expect when we're first starting out young in marriage that we should have a brand new car. That's just not wise. People have worked hard for what they've earned, and in a lot of cases, and I agree with you, Sharona, most of them are broke. Most of them are broke. And not only that, but let me ask you this. What was the real reason why you had to have a new dishwasher and why you wanted to have a new truck when you first got married? And let's not even talk about the expensive wedding.
Well, I think the biggest part of it was, we were seeing
other people,
and we were looking at them, and we've been conditioned to, my husband, I never grew up with credit cards, but my husband did. He had one from the time he was 18.
Wow.
And, that was very enticing to me.
And it's hard. It's hard to say
exciting.
no to that free money that seems to be there for us. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue diving into mistakes we've all made financially so we can learn.
Helping you become all you were meant to be. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was working 60 to 75 hours a week. I was completely stressed out. I was incredibly angry with my husband. We were in over $350,000 worth of debt. By applying the strategies that Dani teaches, in the last 3.5 years, we have paid off $170,000 in debt. We are no longer roommates, and we no longer spend every single cent that we make. We now have made tens of thousands of dollars in passive income in investments. We are on the right track. We're traveling around the world together, and we are building homes for those who really need it. So I don't know about you, but if you want to cut back from 60 to 20 and 30 hours a week, if you want to mend some relationships, if you want to make your life more efficient and a lot more fun, and you want to be the best version of you, I highly recommend that you get registered because your life is about to change.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, first steps to success in creating dynasty, my wife and I were really lost. We were struggling in a relationship. We were struggling financially, drowning in debt. Our relationship was really broken. We were in a bad place. We were living in 2 completely different states and not really honoring each other. Once we got plugged into the community, we noticed a shift in our lives. Most importantly, we came together as a husband and wife. That was the first thing we did. And when we finally came together under the same roof, things started to change. Over the past 3 years, we've been able to pay off over $495,000 in debt. I know my business, I've had a job created for me that increased my income by 50%. That has actually opened up the door to allow my wife and I to spend more time with each other. So I don't know where you are. I don't know if your relationship is super awesome. I don't know if your job is immaculate. I don't know if you're debt-free. But what I do know is if you're not any one of those things, your next step is to get plugged into DaniJohnson.com, go on the website, get plugged into the community. I promise you, your life will never be the same.
And prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was a broke college student, drowning in debt, and I felt like the world was crashing all around me, and I had bad relationships. Since plugging into DaniJohnson.com and First Steps to Success, I was able to pay off $6,600 in 4 months. Now I'm able to give 10% of my income to wherever my heart desires. I actually, using the skills that I learned from Dani, I actually landed a job before I graduated college. And I'm able to travel the world. All I know is if you're serious about annihilating your debt, traveling the world, helping people, and having fun doing so, I highly recommend you get registered for the next First Steps to Success. Do it now, don't wait, don't even thinking about it. If you're ready to change your life, just do it.
We went to our first ever First Steps to Success just 10 weeks ago, and it has definitely been life-changing ever since.
We felt like we got hit by a 2x4, but it was the best 2x4 because what we realized is that our priorities were clearly out of line. I had been building a home-based business and had been working 80 to 100 hours, and I realized that that is not my role, and that I had actually taken my husband's, and it was that realization that something had to change, and we immediately went home and changed everything. There was no hesitation. We said, you know what? We need to be obedient to God.
And we've implemented the tools day one. We started implementing what Dani taught us, invested in ourselves, invested in our kids, got our priorities in line. We've now actually paid off just not quite $60,000 in debt and looking at a couple more investments here as head of the household.
It's been absolutely incredible. So I just encourage you, if any of this speaks to you, if you're wanting to get out of debt, if you're wanting better communication, if you're wanting to elevate to the higher level of life, get to First Steps to Success and plug into DaniJohnson.com.
This is the Dani Johnson Show.
having the right mindset about money will either make you, and if you have the wrong mindset about money, it will maybe broke you. This is Dani Johnson. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show, where we help to uncover the truth about success every single day. And today we're talking about money because, yes, success and money, these two topics can go together. It's not that you have to make a lot of money to be successful. It's just that you have to be wise with the money that you do have. And if you don't have enough, meaning that you can't buy food and you can't pay your rent, well, then you got to learn how to make more of it. Today we are talking about mistakes we've all made with our finances and how can we solve it? How can we change the way we think so we can change our financial future? Because so much of our decisions, in fact, all of our decisions, are made off of how we think. Joining me right now from Hudson, Kansas, is Sharana. She was just sharing that her and her husband got married just a couple of years ago, and they found themselves spending on credit cards, and they needed to get a new truck, and they just thought they needed a new dishwasher, and they were trying to kind of keep up with the Joneses even when they were starting out fresh in life. So Sharana, I asked you a question right before we took the break. I want to know, what was the real reason behind, what was the real motive behind getting that new truck right when you got married, the expensive wedding, the dishwasher? Do you know what I mean? What was the real motive behind doing that? Is she muted? Sharana, I can't hear her. Let's try that again. Let me try to open up that line. Because oftentimes one of the things that she said earlier was, we saw other people had it, so we wanted it. Well, that stinks, doesn't it? That completely stinks. What that is coveting. Coveting. Yeah. Oh, wow. Wasn't that written on one of them tablets? Do not covet. Coveting gets us in a lot of trouble. Coveting actually usually gets us in debt. It does. Coveting. And what is it? What is coveting? What's the real motive behind it? Is totally not grateful, ungrateful, not thankful, not it's greed, actually. It's wanting more and more and more. And that's a monster that is just never satisfied. It so sucks. It's never satisfied. Been there, done that. It stinks. And if you want to have real, true, awesome success that's long lasting, then my friend, coveting has got to be something you cut off from yourself. You got to cut that off because it drives you to buy, another new pair of shoes. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that at all. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Because that stinks. I can think about this. You're starting off your newlyweds. It's hard enough to be married. Do you know what I'm saying? It's hard enough. It's hard enough to learn how to live together, right? A woman and a man coming together, totally different mindsets, different ways of thinking, different things that we're attracted to, different things all together. And now we throw in the debt. We throw in we want to look good in a new truck. We want to look good. So there we go. That's so much more pressure than what you actually need. It really, really is more pressure than what we actually need. So my recommendation on this one is really find the reason why. What's the real motive? Why do you have to have that new truck? Why do you have to have that new dishwasher? Is it really a need or is it a want? And what's the reason for the want? Come on. Know what I'm saying? Yeah. I strongly recommend that you do a lone little heart check about every single dollar that you spend and see, wow, what's the real motive here? Do I want this because I want to fit in with other people? Do I want this because I want to get approval from people or I want to be accepted by people? Am I buying this so that I look good to people so I can impress people? Right? Is that my motive here? You really got to look into that stuff in order to come into any kind of financial freedom. All right, let's go to the very next financial mistake that all of us can learn from. I've got Jay Twan from Surprise, Arizona. Didn't even know there's a place called Surprise, Arizona. What an awesome city name.
Hi, it's outside of Phoenix.
That's awesome. So what about you? What's the biggest financial mistake you've ever made that we can all learn from here?
I think our mistake was, it's funny because I realized we kind of kept making it. And when our daughter was born 10 years ago, we had credit card debt, but because I was working, we were making it. We were chipping away at it slowly, not realizing we had all this extra fat in our budget because, I'm working with attorneys who can afford more than me, so I'm kind of trying to keep up with them. And then our daughter was born, and our income was, cut in half because I wanted to be with her. And I caught us on that track where we were using the cards to make ends meet. We didn't have a lot to show for it, but we were just making those ends, reach together. Yeah. And then in 2009, my husband almost died twice. Two completely unrelated incidents. One day he wakes up with a neck ache. The next thing you know, he's having emergency spinal surgery. And then 6 months later, he wakes up purple. Oh. And so those cards that were making ends meet turned into like a noose around our neck. And this house that we refied because we had, equity, and someone talked us into doing it because everyone else was doing it, was suddenly upside down.
Wow. Okay, hold on one second, because there's two things here that are so powerful, and I don't want anyone to get lost in this story. Number one, actually there's three. Trying to keep up a standard of living, being surrounded by other successful people. Number one mistake. Number two, using your credit cards just to keep up and to make ends meet. Number three, not planning for the day. It's going to happen to all of us eventually. Medical bills are part of life, just like driving a car are a part of life. It doesn't mean you have to have a Mercedes-Benz. Man, if you're financially independent and you can pay cash for it, then you freaking go for it. But if you are not financially independent, you should not be paying cash for that thing. And so here we go, okay, wow, we're making ends meet right now. Why? Well, did you really need to live the standard of living that you were living? No, you didn't. The next thing is that we all will encounter some kind of health crisis at some point. It's part of living, especially in our world. And so we can never foretell when that's going to happen, but we always need to be putting money aside for when it does happen. And sometimes that's having a kid, you know what I mean, that you were not expecting. And now you got diapers, or like in the case with my friend and partner here of the show, John and Mindy, they went from not wanting any kids in 1 year to having two. They gave birth to twins. So it was like, whoa, you know what I mean? It's not one baby in that year, but it was two babies, double the diapers, double the food, double the clothes, double the crib, the stroller, the car seats, the doctor's appointments, you know what I mean? Everything was double. They went from nothing to two. They couldn't plan. They didn't plan for that. They couldn't think about that. They couldn't have said, oh, yes, we're going to have twins in 2014. It doesn't work like that. But you have to make plans and set things aside. And lastly, what you said, I think that was amazing. We refinanced the house because we had equity and everybody else was doing it. Mm-hmm. What would you have done? Turning back the hands of time, would have been the first thing you would have done differently?
I would have lived within our own means. I mean, I will tell you, what we're doing now is what we should have done then. Yes. The house we bought now is modest. Yes. We own 2 old cars, but they're reliable and there's no payment on there. We have a very minimal credit card debt that's going to be paid off in a couple of months, not less. And I'm like, why the hell did we do this 10 years ago? We would be so much further along. And when I saw you in Los Angeles, I came home telling him, going, oh, we got plenty of fat in our budget. Yes. We need to cut some more. We need to cut some more.
Yes.
Because
think about this too.
Ever be there again.
Yes. No, you don't ever want that noose around your neck. But at the same time, look at this. Look at how much further ahead financially you would have been. You would have had tens of thousands of dollars in the bank. How do we know this? Because you paid that to credit.
Yeah.
It got blown up out there in the marketplace somewhere. That should have been your money. And you know what I'm so excited about for you? It will be now. It will be now. I love it. I love that you said we should have lived the way we're living now. Because eventually what happens is you get forced to live simple eventually. Mm-hmm. So why not surrender first to live simple? And then you end up saving maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars because you live simple. If you live simple from the beginning, then you'll end up a millionaire. But if you live above your means or right at your means, meaning spending all you make, then you spend your life paying off debt. And that sucks. So thank God you got another 10, 20, 30 years in you, girl.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you, man. And I'm proud of you that you're humble enough to share the truth. Because you have to think about how many people right now that are just starting off in life and they're doing what you guys did 10 years ago. What do you say to that person? Don't.
I'm sorry.
You say to that person, don't do it. Don't make the mistake that I made. I love it. You're awesome. So proud of you. Good job. So there you go. Oh, man, that was a mouthful. There were so many awesome tips that were inside of there. And come on, take it from someone that's just 10 years ahead of you. They're just 10 years ahead on their path, on their financial path. There's a hard road. There's an easy road. I promise you, the easy road looks hard in the beginning. The hard road actually looks easy in the beginning. Oh, let's talk about that later. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Do you know what's been holding you back? The way you think. It's time to take on a whole new mindset.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
My name's Derek, and this is my wife, Michelle. And we're the Holland Sheds. We live in Covina, California, about 45 minutes from here. And we're extremely honored to be able to share our story. And when we were approached about it, I was kind of thinking, well, where do I start? Where do we start? But I'm going to start a few years back before there was a Michelle and Derek. Actually, I was actually debt-free, and kind of going along pretty good. And then a funny thing happened. I got married, and I married into debt, and okay, we're gonna do fine. We'll pay it off, and life will be good. But a funny thing happened was that didn't seem to happen. And what as a result, it just kind of thinking it's going to happen, or we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and something always happens, and and the result is that debt doesn't get paid. So it starts becoming like an old friend. And then unfortunately the marriage failed, but I was able to meet Michelle, and we got married, and married into debt again. only now it's a little bit bigger, but at least the house that I had, this was during the housing boom, so used some of the equity in the house to pay that debt off, and okay, we got a clean state, let's go forward. And but in our early days in our marriage, we had some difficulty as far as being on the same page financially, and Michelle will share a little bit more about that. And I guess it's a good point for me to hand it over to her.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Like Derek said, honestly, you guys, the first 7 years of our marriage, when I came into our marriage, he paid my debt off. And I ran our debt up 3 different times in the first 7 years of our marriage, you guys. I would have never imagined being in that spot. Derek didn't trust me. And he finally got to a place where, my gosh, I can't keep doing this. I was pretty much told to come to this event by a good friend of mine, and it was the best thing she could have said to me because it's what I needed. I would have not have come had I not have had that charge and challenge that way. The moment I got here and we saw the war, I saw the war on debt, I said, this is it. This is our ticket. This is what's going to help us go to the next level. This is what's going to help us. You guys, since in 33 months, we have paid off over $159,000 worth of debt. We have money in savings. We have $300,000, $300,000 in assets, income-producing assets. We continue to plug in. I was the first one to come, but immediately afterwards, I told my husband I couldn't wait. I called him. I told him about War on Debt. He immediately said, let's do it. We had some friends that hosted a War on Debt class there right after, and we went to it, and we found $502 worth of excess spending our first month, and we revisited our budget after that, and then we thought we were just broke, living paycheck to paycheck. We were overwhelmed. We felt hopeless. I never would have thought I would lose my husband's trust, and the techniques, the strategies that Dani Johnson teaches you guys helped us save our marriage, our finances, our communication. You guys, we started out with, my favorite product is spiritual equipping, and I know Darren has a favorite product.
We're on debt, you think?
You guys, we kind of bought things one by one. However, you guys have a great opportunity outside that door, that table out there, where you can buy the whole DJ University curriculum, and you get almost $1,000, over $1,000 off. So you have either option, but that's a great opportunity for you. Don't let anything stop you guys. There is hope, there is life, and I'm very grateful and honored to be here. So without further delay, you guys help us welcome back America's favorite millionaire and our mentor and coach, Dani Johnson.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Had a conversation last night with my husband about two roads. And he was speaking and saying that there's two roads. One is easy, one is hard. And they don't look like they are in the front part of the road. For example, the easy road, the road that looks easy in the beginning, is truly harder in the end. What's easy? It's easy to get sucked into a culture that is living above their means. It's easy to get sucked into trying to keep up with the Joneses, not knowing that the Joneses are broke. It's easy to covet other people's houses and cars and clothes and friends and fame and fortune. It's easy to not want to use self-control. That's like up front. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna take the easy way, man. Yeah, I'll just, I'm gonna finance my vacation. I need a break. I work hard for my money, so I'm gonna go shopping. Yeah, that's the easy road, but I promise you, it's hard in the end. But the road that actually requires self-discipline in the beginning, that road looks hard in the beginning. It does. When you look at it, you're like, I have to live without this. I have to live without that. Gosh, that stinks. I don't want to live like that. That's why here on the Dani Johnson Show, we are challenging your mindset because we want to see you financially independent. That if my husband and I could become financially independent, you can become financially independent. So when we look at, the road that we had to take, it was a hard road in the beginning. It was very hard, filled with all kinds of mistakes, but in the end, it's financial independence. We denied ourselves things that we did not need. Now, in the very beginning, we were idiots financially. I mean, total retards financially, and blew millions of dollars, and we lost 10 years of our lives. Fortunately, we made money young, so we had time to correct. But for the last 15 years, we've been more wise than we had in the prior 10 years. Therefore, wealth has been accumulated versus more debt being accumulated. And so you can get on that path. You got to pick the right road. I love this. I love talking to you about this. All right, so we're uncovering mistakes that we've all made financially. We've got Amirda Olive, from San Antonio, Texas. Welcome to the show.
Yes, hi, Dani. Can you hear me?
Yes. So what are some of the mistakes you made?
Oh, yes, I made a ton over the last several years. When my husband started his business 7 years ago, and a couple years after that, he was making pretty good money, and it's actually more money than we have ever made. And I realized I was greedy, and I spent most of it and got us into debt. And I heard your message of War on Debt 2 years ago, and I started. But my thing is just staying consistent, because all these things are calling out to me, just still wanting to spend it and not stay on track.
I love it. Hold on a second. These things are calling out to me. I know, man. I remember there were shoes calling my first, middle, and last name. And then some shoes were singing to me a love song. And then there were some restaurants singing to me a romantic lullaby. Come on, you want me. You want me. Have you ever felt that?
Yes.
Okay, now listen, I want to pause right here. You said that your husband was making the most money that you guys had ever made, and you got your family in debt, you personally. Come on, tell me, what'd you buy?
Oh my goodness. I charged like vacations, bought like timeshares and stuff that we shouldn't have, even though he didn't want it, and I still insisted anyway. And cars, oh my goodness, that was stupid. Like I had several different cars in the last 7 years. And just to think of how much money he probably could have had, probably could have made a million probably by now.
Yep.
And that just sickens me to my stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does it feel now to have the war on debt system in your hands and to know that you have a solution?
It feels empowering. Once I follow directions, and I have paid off debt using it.
Awesome.
I've been successful with that.
That's awesome.
It's just to
How did it feel paying off the first debt?
Oh my gosh, exhilarating. Yeah. I felt like I had some kind of power.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, Amir, I have to tell you this hilarious story, okay? Because when I first got convicted about my spending and how we had made millions of dollars and we spent it all and we had nothing in savings and we had almost $1 million worth of debt, and it made me sick to my stomach. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I remember then getting mad. I was like, that's it. I'm done. I am so done being a financial fool, man. I could have paid for all of the weddings that our kids were going to have. I could have paid for all the college tuition. I could have set up our entire retirement. We could have been set for the rest of our lives had I did not go and blow money the way that I blew it. If I had not bought this huge house, if I had not bought these 4 cars, we only had 2 drivers, me and my husband. We had 4 cars. Idiots. Okay, we had a pool, a tennis court, looking at the backside of Yosemite National Park. It was gorgeous, right? We had a guest house. I mean, we had everything, right? Not to mention $250,000 in jewelry and clothes that I will wear for the rest of my life, including this 15-year-old shirt. I will wear it forever. So anyway, I'm going to get every penny out of it that I paid for it. Anyway, so I remember getting mad about it. And then all of a sudden, and like what you're saying, Amir, this empowering, right? You feel empowered once you make the decision to annihilate your debt. You just feel so powerful. And once you start paying some of it off, you're like, yeah, take that. You give it a nice kick to the head, a punch in the gut, an uppercut on the chin, you just feel like you're winning somehow and you're beating this thing out. Well, here I was at Walmart and I had the cart packed, okay? And this Walmart did not sell food. So this was just junk. Yes, I had toilet paper. Yes, I had diapers. And yes, I had some cleaning things. But I also had talked myself into needing a few other things. And I mean, it was packed. Have you ever seen a Walmart cart that is, like the woman is straining her back to push it and it's like almost heaping over and it's so heavy? That was me. And I was standing in line and I felt this horrible conviction. I looked in the cart and one piece by one piece I went, I don't need any of this. I don't need any of this. I literally got out of line. I kept the cart in line. I grabbed my kids and I booked it out to the car and I drove away. And I felt so good about myself in that moment that I did not bow down under the temptation of spending again. And I went home and I calculated in my head how much I was about to spend and I wrote a check to MasterCard. Yep, it wasn't even time to pay MasterCard, but I wrote the exact amount straight to MasterCard. That was such an empowering moment. And every time that I'm able to do that, it's such an empowering moment that every time you say no to something stupid, different when you need to make wise investments for your business, different when you need to buy basic food, but you don't need luxurious gourmet food every day. Give me a break. You don't even need it once a week. That's like a once a month or once every couple of months specialty. That's not something that has to happen every day. So anyway, man, it was powering. Okay, we're going to finish this up, sharing more financial breakthrough tips, mistakes that we've made. How can we all learn from them right after this? I hope you're listening, by the way. And by the way, if you're sitting in your if you're driving through some kind of fast food place right now, turn around, abandon ship, get out of there. Feel the power of saying no to temptation. We'll continue with more right after this.
If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do with your life? Discover your own answer. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
You want to succeed, right? But you do not want to fail God at the same time. There is a way to succeed from a biblical perspective, and it's far greater than anything you could ever imagine. Over 500 scriptures I studied to study money, everything that the Bible said about money. That's in the first couple chapters of Spirit-Driven Success. Not to mention leadership, working with people, growing a career, being used mightily in the marketplace, which is where Abraham, God used him in the marketplace. And Joseph, God used him in the marketplace. Moses, God used him in the marketplace. Daniel, Solomon, really all of the greats of faith, most of the greats of faith throughout the Bible, they all were in the marketplace. And God wants to show you how you can be used mightily by him in the marketplace. Right here, Spirit-Driven Success is where all of my notes are on how you can do that. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Spirit-Driven Success today.
Prior to getting started with DaniJohnson.com and First Steps to Success, we were spending absolutely every dime that we made. We were really struggling financially. Since plugging in to First Steps to Success just 4 months ago, we started a brand new business that is doing very, very well. We've paid off $4,500 in debt, but the most important thing is my relationship with my husband has improved like dramatically. I mean, we have so much more fun together. You know, I don't know about you, maybe your finances, you're doing great. Maybe you're debt-free. Maybe your relationships with your spouse, with your family are great. But if not, if you have some areas in your life that feel a little out of control or there's things that you need to work on, I highly recommend getting to First Steps to Success as soon as you can.
Prior to being dragged out to First Steps to Success, I was hopeless. I had no point to life. It was a day-to-day existence, working a job I despised for people I didn't respect. Deeper and deeper debt every year. You just couldn't get on top of it. I just had no hopes or dreams, none at all, and there was no point to life. But since coming out, we paid off $280,000 worth of debt, married the woman of my dreams. I came to love my job and the people I work for. I have all kinds of hopes and dreams. I get to watch them happen every day. I don't know what your life is like, you know. There's probably tons of hope. You probably know why you live and you got places you're going, but if you don't, you need to sign up for First Steps to Success. You go to DaniJohnson.com and you click on it and be here, because your life will not be the same if you do.
Prior to First Steps to Success, I was drowning in debt. I was terrified of my bills, and I wanted to travel, but I never had the money. And since coming to First Steps to Success, in the last 14 months, I've paid off over $18,000 in debt. I've gone on 6 vacations, and I'm not terrified of my bills anymore. So if you want to learn some proven strategies to really learn how to connect with people, take your life to the next level, all while having a total blast, you need to get registered for the next First Steps to Success today.
Prior to coming to First Step to Success, we were totally struggling, totally under the weight of $640,000 worth of debt, making $20,000 a month, but living paycheck to paycheck. So when we came here and I realized that it takes a totally different skill set to keep money, to create wealth than it is to make money, I have totally turned around our lifestyle. We have paid off $640,000 worth of debt in 2 years. We are debt-free as of June of 2013. I don't know where you're at. You might have all your finances in order. You might have a wonderful life. Your marriage might be all perfect and your kids are behaving. But if not, if one of those things is lacking, you've got to get here. Book your next event. You need to be here. You will not regret it.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
A wise man thinks ahead and plans for it, but the fool does not, and he even brags about it. Isn't that hilarious? That's out of Proverbs 13:16, which, by the way, that book in the best success book ever written has some of the most amazing financial tips that are in there to teach you how to accumulate wealth instead of spending a lifetime riddled with debt. Listen, you've got two roads that are in front of you, and here every day on the Dani Johnson Show, we are bringing you messaging and content and strategies and tips to kind of keep you on track for what your personal goal is, what your personal dream is, what your vision is for your life. And that vision better include the calling that is on your life, because there's something specific you're supposed to do on this planet. Now go get it done. One of those specific things is to live a debt-free life, to live a life free from financial bondage. One of the ways that you can do that, my friend, if you're a brand new listener to the Dani Johnson Show, is we'd love to give you the book, First Steps to Wealth. This is packed with strategy and skill and methods that are like a recipe. It's like a recipe for financial success that our family has used and that hundreds of thousands of other families from all over the world have used as well. We'd love to give you a copy of this. You can get an ebook right now if you call 866-760-8255. Again, that's 866-760-8255. Ask for Nellie or Nate. They'd be happy to serve you. You should also ask them about first steps to success. If you really want to fast track for your financial success and you want to clear up all the stress and confusion that you have in your life, it's time to pause and go learn how to be able to get this job done. First steps to success. Ask Nellie or Nate to tell you about it and when the next event is taking place. But yeah, get your free copy. And by the way, if you would like a physical copy of this $15 book, you pay the shipping and handling. I'd be happy to give you a copy of the book. So make sure and get your copy now. And on the other side of it, something that you also want to understand, you remember we talked about coveting earlier today, and that how coveting roots out of ungratefulness, that a lack of gratitude causes us to want stuff that other people have and to be unsatisfied with what we have. One of the things that has killed coveting in me is putting my focus on helping people who are really, really in need. Not only have I gotten great joy from doing that, and so much more joy than any money I've ever earned is the joy of serving someone who doesn't have the capacity to take care of themselves. So people like Audalis, who has 4 children. She's a single mom. 2 of them are 9-month-old twins. Every day she has to make a decision as to which one of the kids are going to eat. Isn't that terrible? Is it going to be her? Is it one of the girls? Is it one of the boys? Because she doesn't have enough money on $2 a day to feed them. But you know what? You and I can make a big difference in Audalis, as well as many others just like her. There's 1,000 families that are living just like her that we're going to focus on building her a brand new house that has clean water in the house, a kitchen, and we're going to set her up in business, as well as set her up with food that multiplies itself so that she will never have to wonder what her family's going to eat. You can do this. You can help feed one of her children for life, giving them clean water, shelter, and food for only $50. One time, $50 can help set one of her babies up for the next year. Go to kingsransom.org. Again, that's kingsransom.org and give to Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. kingsransom.org. That's it for us today. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
If this episode was an encouragement to you, go to DaniJohnson.com and share it with your friends now. You never know who else needs to hear it.
Hi, welcome to the Dani Johnson YouTube channel. We're super excited to have you here. And every single week, we're going to make sure that you get awesome videos for your business, career, making more money, saving money, annihilating your debt, as well as helping you to handle those really tough problems that you have with people at home as well as at work, and taking those really good relationships you already have and causing them to flourish and grow. All you have to do is click that subscribe button right down here. Click that and you'll be subscribed to an amazing community of people, as well as some great videos that will help to improve your life. Thanks so much for being here. Subscribe now would be good. Just click it. I know you can see it. It's somewhere down here. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.